I tried, Joe. I tried to help you.
Hey, we the 101.
This nigga brought out the box.
Let's go.
About to lose it.
Freedom. Freedom. What?
Tournament time, fellas. We've been waiting. We've been setting up for like a month trying to get this right, and we here. We took 8 of the best hip hop albums of all time, in our opinion, from the 1990 to 2005. We did it because most of our generation, most of us are around the same age, so we wanted to keep it in our core demographic. Now, disclaimer ahead of time. I know you're gonna say, why y'all didn't pick this album? Why y'all didn't choose this album? Why y'all didn't choose that album? This album should have been here. That should have been there. These matchups should have been differently. Everything was randomized from the selection of the albums and the matchups to make it fair, because we didn't want no hiccups. We didn't want no problems. So here we go. That's the tournament bracket. Pulling up 8 seeds. Before we get into the bracket, I want to thank all the subscribers that did watch us, and I want to thank the 5 people that voted on what album, the album of choice. Now, you guys don't know what albums that you chose. I will speak it out right now so you know what album that you got when you picked the letter. The first person that voted was Trey Day. Trey Day took E. E was, let me pull it up for you, sir or ma'am. E is Urban Legend. So Trey Day, you have Urban Legend. That was your selection. And he will be talked about. His matchup is against Kanye Registration, and we'll talk about that matchup next week. The next person was, I can't pronounce your name, but I'm gonna call you Pierre 8959. Your selection was
Pierre. Yeah.
Your selection was G.
Trade it. I gotta say that because somebody said
that. And there's your matchup. Is going against JEEZY Black Album. That's gonna be the first matchup we talk about today. We'll be there in a little bit. The next person that voted was 1347. Your selection was D. Well, late registration. Kanye West late registration. That is your pick with the letter D. We'll talk about that next week. As you can see, you'll be going up against Pierre. And the next person that voted, Kimberly Flowers. Thank you for voting. You select the letter C. Your pick was the Black Album.
Hey, Kim.
We will talk about that coming up. And the last person that voted was Users DN. Your selection, your letter you picked was H, and your album was Born Center. And as you can see in your far right-hand corner, Born Center is going against Nas Illmatic. We'll talk about that next week. So thank you guys for participating. And let's get this bracket started.
Yeah, shout out to everybody, man. Y'all did that shit. Even people that didn't even say anything, even though you're supposed to comment on it and leave a, pick a letter. But y'all did y'all thing, man.
Appreciate all y'all. Like you said in his post, we're going through the bracket. We're going to talk about 2 matchups this week, 2 matchups next week. The following week, we'll talk about the next 2 matchups. And in the 4th week, we will decide the winner. And the winner will be talked about that 4th week. And if your album was picked, we will be sending off your reward, which is a $25 gift card of your choice anywhere you want. If you just want it on the regular gift card with cash, we can do that also. Or if you want it to a particular restaurant or whatever video game or anything, we can also do that. So once again, thank you guys for joining. Let's talk about these matchups. Matchup first is JV Black Album versus Young Jeezy Thug Motivation 101. The second matchup we will talk about today will be Lil Wayne, the Carter 3 versus DMX is Dark and Hell is Hot. Let's get it, gentlemen. Let's get it. Where we starting at? Who want to start off? Nobody chime in. I'll start off right now. Both of them have no skips, in my opinion.
In my opinion, what?
Both albums have no skips.
Both albums
have no
which album you talking about?
Black Album and Thug
Motivation.
Your first matchup, Black Album versus Thug Motivation 101.
I have no skips.
Yeah.
I can listen to each one from start to finish. Yes, you might have one that is not your favorite, but that doesn't mean it's a skip. Just because it's not your favorite, and just because it might not go with the flow of the album, it does not mean it's a skip.
I'll give you that.
That's my opinion on both albums. I expect you guys to have either if it's similar, that's cool. If you have a different opinion, that's also cool.
I like this. JEEZY album was the perfect way to come in and drop a debut album. JEEZY album was the perfect way to end his career. Yes, he made albums afterwards, but that was supposed to be his retirement album. It was supposed to be, riding off to the sunset. But that's what happened when you love the hip hop game. You can't walk away from it. You just have to continue to do something because you get new ideas. JEEZY trap flow was nice. Jay-Z also can do trap flow if he wanted to, but I think Jay-Z kind of limited himself because he freestyled all his songs. Think about all the shit he can come up with if he wrote some shit down. It'd give him new ideas.
Yeah, but I don't think that's kind of iffy because Wayne don't write nothing down either.
We talk about
when Wayne's gonna talk about next. So I got something for Wayne.
It's a different mentality.
I'm going to limb and say I think
hold on, I want to finish. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Because even when CJ just threw that logic in, Jay-Z did not freestyle a verse for Dre. He wrote a verse for Dre, and Dre had to memorize it and rap that verse. And that was that verse on the Watcher. That verse was fucking dope as fuck.
He also wrote
Still Dre.
Still Dre.
He wrote Still Dre. That shit's dope as fuck. That's why I say he limited himself freestyling. Not taking anything away from the album. The album has no skips. There's some songs on both albums I can, just like mellow out, like just like tune out. But there's some songs on both albums that would fucking just grab you. Like, and then what is one of those songs that was a great ass fucking single to come out with. But what song stuck out the most to me on Thug Motivation was Standing Ovation. That song is the hardest song on the album. That shit is fucking hard.
That was my song on that album.
The way that the flow he chose, like he wasn't even trying. It's like he was rap talking, but he was like style rap talking, and he prolonged the right words and all that shit. And he wasn't trying to fight the beat or nothing like that. That shit was dope. And then you got
chime in on that. How your first album, the first song you make, you giving yourself credit already. You basically telling everybody to give me a standing ovation on your first song.
Because they think he's the hottest.
Yeah, he was confident.
Yeah, but he actually did some other songs that was mainstream before that, like that song with Gucci, Icy.
So icy.
Yeah. And he told me, and then when it came out, he hated that song. I was like, damn, nigga, and you still killed that shit, bro? So, that shit, man, I think it was a perfect.
Huh? I think it was a perfect song for the time because that album came out in 2005.
It did. That's what everybody
music at that time was hot.
It was. But that one bar, how that shit goes? Something I forgot how it starts. So I heard it in a minute. Something going through my brain and I can't understand it. Infatuation with the birds. I watch Animal Planet. I was like, nigga, that shit is dope. And that double, that's a double right there. You can talk about, everybody know what birds is. If you don't know, then go look it up. And then Jay off the Black Album. I can't really pick a song because that whole album I can say something about Lucifer. I can say something about even the single Change Clothes. I can say something about public service announcement. Even though he got the idea of 99 Pounds from Ice-T, I can say something about that shit. But what's the other song?
Allure.
I got one
More
bar.
can
I don't know. I don't know the name of the song. Not that one.
Moment of Clarity.
That ain't on that album. Is that on that
Yes,
album?
it is.
Yeah, it is.
It
Clarity
is.
on there.
Thank God for granting me the moment of clarity. The moment.
Yeah,
Okay,
just
yeah.
one-
All right, the other one. What's that shit? He
Simple
said
Force.
2 bars that stuck. Not that one. He said, I forgot the name of the song, but he said 2 bars that stuck with me. He was
Yeah,
I
pull
put
it
that
up.
gun to you. I let it sing you a song. I let it hum to you. The other one sings along that shit, and then the other one he was like, I'll kill you, commit suicide, and kill you again. What song was that?
Threats.
That song. That shit is hard. So it's like a tough pick. I wouldn't be mad which you ever win. I don't care.
Yeah.
But for that to be Jay-Z, Young Jeezy's debut album, and then you got Jay-Z supposed to be his finishing album, and it's going up against this nigga and you can't pick? Nigga. The production on both of them albums fucking great.
Don't forget Jay-Z. Jay-Z did go crazy with Young
He
Jeezy
did
on
make the
Plug
whole
Motivation
club
too.
go crazy, nigga.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. If I'm listening to both albums, both are great albums. Jay-Z paints a picture of going through he paints a picture as you start off. You start with interlude, telling you what you're going through, then goes to December 14th. It's like a beginning, middle, and end to Jay-Z's album.
It's like
it's like an actual, like you can see where it's going. You can see how it's curated. But I'm listening to Jeezy because I like, again, great album. I think Jeezy album, to me, you're going to know, what you're getting out of every song. You're going to hear the same thing out of Jeezy, which is he's going to hit you with the bird play, get money, get women.
But look,
not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. He puts it in different ways for each song to make it come off like, hey, this is how I feel about it. And he gives his perspective in his day and how he feels in that particular vibe. My only push is that I will go more Jay-Z because I get more variety in what I'm getting out of the content. Versus if I'm listening to Jeezy, again, Jeezy got that. If I want to put some Jeezy on, I'm not skipping it. It's a good album, great album, masterpiece. But I know I'm getting a certain vibe out of that album. And I know exactly what I'm getting out of that. When I'm listening to Jay-Z's album, I get that full picture, that full array of what I'm getting out of this. I can see myself in certain moments, certain times, like, all right, I feel like this song. All right, I feel like this song. Same thing out of Jeezy, but it's really hard to make that distinction because are you going to hear out of it? And like he's dropping some gems in there, but primarily I'm going to hear him talking about flipping birds and doing his thing, which is cool.
Are you getting more of the down south feel from Jeezy?
Nah, actually, down south. I feel everything Jeezy's like. The way I would put it, when you, from a perspective of if I'm outside and I'm doing outside shit, Jeezy's speaking to me. Jeezy's speaking to me everywhere he's saying.
So you predicated on what you're doing for the album?
No, I'm predicated on what the album content is. Like as a whole, I'm looking at the whole of the album for me. I'm not saying necessarily how I feel in the day is going to be. I'm listening to Jay-Z. This is my Jay-Z day because I'm feeling it, and this is how I feel. I'm like, no, if I'm listening to the album, I hear distinction in every song. I'm listening to "Get Off My Shoulder." All right, cool. It's telling like, yo, this is how I'm feeling. I feel at this point, these little niggas, I'm not paying no mind. I'm gonna keep it moving. Blah 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 blah. Change clothes. I gotta dress it up. I gotta step up my game. Yada yada yada. December 4th is him telling you, hey, this is me coming to the game. I'm important.
I gotta retort for this real quick.
Go ahead.
My only gripe with that analysis, Gunner, is you're speaking on a man's first album and then the other man's last album. So there's
talking about the albums.
No, listen, but there's growth in the man that's done 10 albums compared to the man that done one. If we go back to Jay's first album, it is similar to Jeezy's first album, talking about the same stuff.
Are you talking about
Reasonable Doubt? But we're not talking about Reasonable Doubt. But we're not talking about Reasonable Doubt.
They talk about the same thing. Flipping birds, getting that money on, doing trapping. It's the same thing. So
contextualize what you talked about. We sticking to one thing. We're not going back on the history of Jay-Z. We're not going back to the future of Jeezy. I'm looking at the albums. So even
that's what I'm saying. You are downgrading the fact of what Jeezy did in his first album compared to what Jay's album, because Jay has more growth. He's been in the game longer for 10 albums. That's why you're getting more diverse. You're getting more diversity from his album than you will get from Jeezy's first album.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not disagreeing with that.
You're downplaying it. That's the reason why you're picking why you said you'll take the Black Album over, because of the diversity of the album.
And that's my choice.
I say this. You said Jay has a complete story, which you're right. Jay Black Album does have a story, even though he pretty much said the same shit throughout his previous albums. Okay, but we'll be sticking with this album. You could say the same shit about Thug Motivation 101.
What you mean?
He has a story. If you look at the titles of the track list and you listen to the song, he's telling the story. Thug Motivation, this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Niggas want to hear me speak. So they want to hear me speak so much, I get a standing ovation.
I start off by saying, if I was outside,
I'm going down the title. Just look, I'm getting a standing ovation. They like what I'm doing. Let me present them with this gangster music.
It's the music.
Now it's just
it's methodical.
Exactly. Now it's just I got all this shit going on. And what niggas do when they give standing ovation? Let's get it. Sky's the limit. Put their hands to the sky.
Okay.
He's give you, and now that you're doing all that shit, now they bust.
And then what?
He's giving you. He's going down the list of how he's finna start up. And
all right.
But what is? But
y'all
what is
asking me then what?
But what is he talking about?
But what is
he talking about?
He's talking about his life. He's talking about his come up at the same time.
It's the same.
He's time about his life, the same time. He's telling the story, and then we're the most niggas see their music. We hear their music. They in the club. Now I need to see the niggas go crazy with this shit. They're gonna go crazy in the club. Once this shit, they finna go crazy. And now I need to show everybody that I'm a standalone. So what I'm gonna say, nigga, I'm the last of a dying breed.
Dying breed.
And if I want to go from there, let me show you why I'm the last of a dying breed. Let me go take them back to the trace of my hood while I made it out. He's telling the story in the track songs and everything. He's going
and the songs. Yeah.
What is he talking? Let me go back to what
he's talking about his life.
Let me go back to what I just said, because what I said was, if I was outside and I'm living that outside, like I'm rocking with Jeezy. That's exactly what I said before I let her go. I was like, if I'm outside and I'm doing my outside shit, I understand what Jeezy's saying. And I'm saying to you, if I'm looking at the body of the work, it can still be telling you, again, you're saying the story that he's giving you the line by line of what he's doing throughout his day. It's still the same context of you outside doing the outside shit. I'm saying to you, which is not a bad thing, I still fuck with it. I'm just saying that for me, my preference is I like the story that this is telling me more so than what I'm getting over here. That's not a knock to it. I still fuck with it. Still like it. I just prefer the Jay-Z Black Album. That's all.
No, I didn't say you were knocking. I just said that you just said that the Black Album is a more of a story. I'm like, nah, they kind of both telling stories.
Story.
They both got stories.
Jeezy definitely told a story in his track list.
The story you're saying in Jeezy track list is you hearing the same shit about it's not a knock. Again, I know we're getting every song. Every song is going to talk about the same thing. It's the story of him. So he's rapping about what he knows. I'm not knocking that. When I'm listening to the Black Album, I'm hearing a different variety of the story. I know I'm going to get the same story throughout each song when I'm listening to the Jeezy song. I'm getting different perspectives on each song about a new way. Now, may it be because of age and depth of thing growing? May it so be. But I'm saying I just like that. I prefer that one over this one if I had to choose between both.
I'll tell you this. No, that's fine. You got your pick. But I'll tell you this. The Black Album. Every song on that Black Album, I can relate to one song of each one of Jay-Z albums.